Siamo a Edam, nel cuore dell'Olanda. Dietro di me lo studio Hoek Design, diventato famoso per disegnare barche moderne con il look classico.
In 1986 I started Hoek Design. In 1988 we moved to this building. We started with these typical Dutch designs, but we very quickly also started to do ocean-going yachts in a classic style. And the first design that we did was a 70-foot sloop with classic hull lines and a wing keel and a spade rudder. And that was in 1986 was totally radical because nobody was doing that. The 70-foot sloop was the first one, and then we straight after that did a catch version of it called Kim. That boat is very popular and very famous also. And that basically started an enormous string of classic yachts, and I think we have done at least 150 new classically styled ocean-going sailing yachts. And I don't know the exact number, but it could be even quite a bit more, because in the last 10 years we have had several yards that are building our designs in series, in production. The office is a 16th century orphanage. It was built in 1560, and what's really amazing is that it remained an orphanage till 1960. I bought it from the municipality in 1988, and we have been here ever since. The room, as you see, has oil paintings on the walls. What is very special, the room itself, the wall paintings are from 18th century, 1750, and that's the time when this room was renovated, and it's also the time when this painting was made. And that actually is a very special painting by Kuiper. It's actually very valuable, but we can't do anything with it, obviously. It's Mother Maria with two orphans, with the Charitas symbol, and the weapon of Edam, the village of Edam. It's a very special painting, according to some historians and according to the municipality. I have to really take good care of it as a proper house father, but there's nothing I can do with it. Probably the painting is worth more than the whole building. It's quite special. We have been here since 1988. We started only on the ground floor. And when the office grew, I lived actually on the first floor, and when the office grew I went out, and then at the moment we have all 4 floors in use for the office. When I bought the building in 1988, it was a huge mess. Basically, the municipality did everything that we can't do as proper citizens. You know, there were like walls all over the place with styrofoam, and there were like carpets like 3 over each other, and huge mess. We did a lot of work to make it the way it is right now. The building is actually quite large, and there's another building behind it that also belongs to it. And behind that there is a garden and another house. Through the years we have renovated everything, including the roofs, and on the top floor you will see some amazing 16th century ceilings and structures that are absolutely stunning.
Basically, in our office we have all expertise of both interior and exterior design, as well as the construction and the performance side. So everything that is involved in the preliminary design, in the concept of a boat, we can do that inside the office. We have a whole team of 12 people at the moment, where we have interior designers, structural engineers, also people working on the CFD optimization. In an early stage we can try to convince the client that we can fill in the dream that he has or she has into a proposal. And when that is basically done, we get to an agreement on how the boat looks and the size and the dimensions, We mostly go to a next stage where we look at different yards that could actually build the boat. For that reason we need some more detailing on cost-effective elements of the design.
Well, to design a boat there's a lot of people that come into play, and obviously the first one is the client. And we always try to make the communication lines as short as possible. That's not always easy, because we have done projects where we had the owner prefer to work with an outside interior designer, and you can have an interior designer from England, you have an American owner's representative, then you have a shipyard that is in the Netherlands, then you have a naval architect that's in another country, and you can imagine that the communication can then be very complicated. Also in the design, it is important that the structural engineers and the interior designers work together. That is not always easy when they work in a different office in another part of the world.
The interesting part of the design is when the client comes in and actually trying to find out what the client is looking for. Basically, they come in with a dream and we have to put that dream on paper. Try to find what the dream is, if it's a classical boat or a modern boat, and the size and the requirements for the space inside, and translate that into a preliminary design, the first concept design stage. That's a very interesting part where you also learn the client and see how you can fit that into certain dimensions of a boat. So we start with a layout and then try to fit a line plan around that layout and calculate weight, displacement of the boat, to see the volume and how you can logistically get the layout with cabins and the deck layouts and the deck area, the cockpit, organized in a preliminary design.
I think there's an enormous history in classic yacht design, and I think any sailor that you meet will know the J-class yachts. And the lines of these yachts are absolutely stunning and amazing. At least that's what triggered me personally in the beginning, and I've always looked at designs of SNS and also the J's and many other beautiful classic yachts. And the whole feeling of these boats does not change in time. Beauty is one thing, but there are also definitely advantages in ocean-going yachts with long overhangs. The way these boats behave in big seas is just phenomenal. When you compare it to a modern boat, it's much more comfortable. They're much more seaworthy. They don't get that many waves over the bow or over the stern compared to a modern boat. The timeless effect has another effect, that also the boats keep their value way longer than modern boats. When you look in many different industries, even in cars, you've also seen a move into more classic lines. And in boats definitely, it started with sailboats. When you look at the super yacht sailing market for big sailing super yachts, I think the majority of the boats that are being built at the moment have classic lines. I'm talking about big custom super yachts. And when you look at the yards, housemen and fitters and the kind of boats that they are building, there is a substantial amount of these designs that are all classic. What we see, especially in multi-yacht designs, is that a lot of people are doing very similar styling, and we try to break the mold and do it totally different. And I think so far it works really well.
There's a perception of a classic yacht that's old-fashioned and not performing well, as they are heavy displacement yachts. But I think the combination that we have with performance or underwater configuration has proven out that these boats really sail very well, and also in a regatta that you can have a very exciting sailing experience in the classic yachts. And that's what people realize now and see more often on the water. So the inspiration is from the J-class yachts with long overhangs, but the underwater configuration has completely changed in our designs. That is also what people see and realize that you can have nice sailing as well. I think it's the displacement of a boat is the primary factor of the resistance of the boat, and the sail area to the displacement ratio tells a little bit about the performance that you can expect from a sailing yacht. And the displacement sail area of a classic boat does not have to be very different from any modern boat. So you can have a very powerful sail area in a lighter displacement classic design above water, but underwater with a round section shape and a modern fin keel and spade rudder, you can still have the same performance. And I think especially in light wind airs, people have the perception that a classic boat in light wind doesn't really move easily. But that's what we have seen with Adele in the early days. The first super yacht regatta, which was 5 knots, the boat was sailing 7 knots through the water, which was amazing, and people realized that that's really something new in the larger sailing yachts as well.
I grew up in a sailing family. That's how it started, and that's where I really got the bug and where I really enjoyed sailing. My family owned a boat that is a typical Dutch boat with lee boards and gaff rigs, and I've sailed on that ever since I was 5 and raced on it and did all kind of things, and always tried to optimize the boat in performance and take some weight out, put some weight in, and we did all kind of stuff. That's how it started, and I realized when I was 11 or so that I wanted to be a yacht designer.
I studied naval architecture after I did aeronautical engineering. I have been a sailor since I was a little kid, cruising around the oceans, and had the passion for yacht as well. But never really thought about going into business like yacht designing. But after my aeronautical engineering, I thought, well, maybe I can do something in yacht design where you can do the full design instead of just optimizing an aileron or an elevator on an airplane. With yacht design, you can do basically the full design.
I was convinced that that was what I wanted to do. So I studied naval architecture and then worked in Canada at the design office of C&C Yachts in '79. That was absolutely amazing. I met some really, really good guys that learned me the tricks of the trade.
When I joined Andre about 25 years ago, we shared the same passion on the styling and the looks of the yachts. And with the theoretical background, I just loved to optimize the hulls. And we went into tank testing and wind tunnel testing to optimize the performance of these yachts to the best that fits the concept of the design, because a classic design is a different concept than a modern design. So you need to do specific research to make sure that the tools that you have available to optimize yachts is dedicated for that typical classic yachts as well. You need to have the sailing bug in your veins to be able to design something with passion. Sailing yachts is a passion for the owners, but also for us working on it. You put more into it when you have a passion for it. We have done many different designs where the passion is in combination with the balance of the design, and the balance of the design is not only the sailing balance where you have a well-performing upwind sailing yacht with a nice feel on the helm, but it's also the balance of the freeboard height and the balance of the sizes of the deck house. We can be proud on the fact that people recognize a Hoek design boat around the world.
I get photos from clients and from people that are sending it to us by email, like, oh, I've seen this boat and wow, what a great yacht you guys have done. It's really rewarding and nice. I think everyone in our office loves to not just do one design and make it smaller and bigger, but do different things and be versatile. It's nice to work one day on a big sailboat, one day on a day sailor, and the next day or the next month on a big motor yacht or on a small boat. So, there's a really nice match of different projects that we do, and we all enjoy it. We've been involved in 3 different new J-class yachts. The first one was Lionheart, the second one was Topaz, and the third one was Svea. It all started with a client that came to me and said, I would like to build a new J, which was really amazing because, you know, that's been my dream for a long time in those days. And he said, yeah, but which one do you think I should build? I said, well, that's the million-dollar question. You know, we need to research what would be the best boat, because there are quite a number of designs that have never been built. You have to build from an original lines plan that was made before 1937. And to find out which one is the best one for the present handicap system is not so easy. So we made a proposal for a research project where we first were going to make a velocity prediction program specifically written for long keel yachts, which is totally different to what was available for modern boats. That VPP program we used to analyze the performance of 15 different J's, where the sail plan we kept all the same. The hull lines obviously are different, but each boat has a different keel, different stability, different, you name it. And we had to do it in a way that it makes sense and that you can really compare the differences between the various hulls. The 5 best boats out of that research we then analyzed in a CFD program. That's computational fluid dynamics, where we can analyze the resistance and also the wave patterns around the hull and see why is a certain hull better performing than another. The best hull that came out of that CFD research was the Lionheart project, and that is a design, a hull design that was originally made by Olin Stevens and Starling Burgess. Sparkman and Stevens never want to say who actually made it. We've analyzed all these plans. I'm not going to say which one it is, but it was for us totally clear who actually made the design. The Lionheart design was the best all-round design. So that's the first boat we started to design and then optimize and build. The lines plan was then approved by the J-Class Association. Then we have developed the construction drawings in aluminium. I remember very well the day when we had the model of Lionheart on the stand in Monaco a long time ago, and then somebody walked by and said, oh, that's a cruising J. And then one of the guys in my office, he started like, come on, you know, it's not a cruising J, this is a J that's completely optimized for racing and for performance. But the funny thing is, I mean, we also wanted to design a boat that would not only be a race boat, but also a boat that could be used for cruising and family sailing. For racing, one of the big issues on these J's is you have to have the runners always on, especially when you jibe and also when you tack, because we have inline spreaders and there's no backstay. Yeah, there's a little backstay basically to tune the rig, but it's not holding the rig back when you go downwind. So the runners have to be on also when you go upwind. We sailed on Lionheart in the early days with only 6 or 7 pros, and the rest was people like RUURT and myself and other people, that sailors but not professional sailors, and we were racing against full professional crews and we were still winning. So that was with the owner at the helm. That was really, really awesome. I've sailed a lot on the J's, and not only on the J's but also on other big super yachts that we have done.
On most of them.
And most of them, yeah. On Adele, on Erica, on Topaz, you name
Firefly,
it. We sailed on many, many of these boats. Not together, because we split up on boats so that we get even more experience. And the best experience is to just see how a really big boat behaves when you start racing it. And then all of a sudden everything comes into play. And it's very valuable to take that experience back to the office and to know that certain things work and certain things don't. The second one we did is Topaz. Similar kind of deck layout. She is a different design though, originally designed by Frank Payne. And the interesting thing of this design is that It was a very fast downwind boat. It has been a very fast downwind boat from the start. It has a relatively shorter keel length and therefore higher aspect ratio keel. We also designed the interior for the boat, and the interior is completely in Art Deco. We will show you a little mock-up a bit later on that shows the styling of that interior. And Art Deco, it's a modernistic Art Deco from the 30s that obviously fits very well the 30s era of the boat. The third one that we did is Svea. We have a model, but not in this room. That is also an incredibly nice boat. That boat only has one deck house, and the deck layout of that boat is even further optimized for racing and basically purely for racing. This is the 46-meter catch Elfje that was built at Royal Huisman. And this boat has a lifting keel, a spade rudder. The lifting keel even has a trim tab. It has a plumb bow with a relatively longer water line. And you can imagine that the behavior and also the performance of something like this is completely different to a long keel boat like the Jays. This is what we are specialized in our office, in these kind of designs. The majority of the designs that we make still have spoon bows, but these bows are also popular, but not as popular as the ones with a spoon bow.
We are under a model of a 46-meter design that we have done that was built at Huisman. It's called Elfje. And we have done a lot of research work with a velocity prediction program initially to find the right configuration of underwater keel and rudder. She had to be a performance-oriented superyacht, mostly for cruising, but she wanted to do some superyacht regattas as well. So the performance was important to this design. So we optimized the displacement to be as light as possible. And then we tested various configuration of keels and rudders, and we ended up with a lifting keel. And obviously an advantage of a lifting keel is that you can have the ballast of the keel very low, which gives a lot of stability, and because of a deep draft you have a good upwind performance. When that was done, all the research work was done in the computer. We wanted to confirm this in the tank test and did some extra variations in the tank test, where we also added a trim tab to the keel to give some better lift in lower boat speeds, like an airplane where you have a flap on the back of an airplane. So this was tested in the Marin, which is a laboratory that we have here in Holland, which is famous all over the world. That also allows us to optimize our in-house VPP model. We know exactly what the forces on the keel are, and on the rudder, and on the whole ship altogether.
The model here is the 56-meter motor yacht Blue 2 that we have designed. It was built in Istanbul. It's been a very, very important project for our office, and it's the first expedition motor yacht this size that we have done. It's an 800-ton ice-class vessel. It's completely ice-class built, and it's a project that is optimized extensively by us underwater with CFD programs, and we've analyzed a lot to make the fuel consumption of the boat very efficient, despite its relatively high displacement. The displacement is quite high because of the ice class. You can see that also the model has an ice-breaking bow. The styling of the boat is classic, timeless, and obviously you recognize a certain handwriting that we also do in the sailing yachts. We've really enjoyed doing this project. We did the exterior design, the naval architecture, and also the interior design. We could see coming that the sailing superyacht market is definitely, unfortunately, diminishing. And we had to do something in order to keep everyone busy. We have seen in all the clients of our big sailing superyachts, the owners are getting older. And for sure, we knew that one day these owners would actually sell their sailboat and want to do something else. None of our owners would buy, I think, a modern motorboat, and I was convinced there was definitely a market to go for classic multi-yacht designs. We are all really enjoying also to design multi-yachts now. First of all, it's a heck of a lot easier. It's still, you need talented people to get everything right. It is all about perfection, about performance, and about being passionate about what you do. And to put all the energy into making a motorboat something outstanding as well. I think Blue 2 is a really good example of that, where we have gone a very long way in optimizing the hull with CFD, making the boat extremely fuel efficient, with diesel-electric propulsion, single prop, where everybody was against, and now people are realizing, like, wow, you know, maybe these guys have done something right. Because when you realize, when we started with Blue 2 and we told the yard that it was going to be single prop, they said, like, come on, you know, you have to do two propellers and two engines. And we said no, because, you know, when we do it this way, we can show you that the performance is so much better. With a single prop, you have a bigger diameter propeller, more efficient, less drag, and so on. And it proved actually in reality that the boat is extremely fuel efficient. When you look into commercial shipping, big container vessels, they all have single prop. Not all of them, but the majority have single prop. We are at the moment working on a number of other multi-yacht designs. Fortunately, some in this style, 32 meters, 36 meters, 38 meter, but also one that is substantially bigger than this. And we are also working on different style of designs, more retro. Like always, the strength is always in the team and the people that are doing it. And we are very happy and very proud to be able to work with so many very talented people.